So this is a story that gets me very, very upset. And it goes to the core of the Trump administration and anybody in this country that is either serving or anybody in this country that knows somebody that has served. So Senator Mark Kelly is obviously a very distinguished, intelligent, and decorated hero. I think his wife is a wonderful lady as well. Tremendous amount of respect for this man and his family. And Senator Mark Kelly has been the victim of brutal attacks from the president and many on the MAGA right when the president of the United States has threatened to hang him or death. Why? Because he and 5 others put out a video stating what is obvious in our Constitution, which is if you are serving, you do not have to abide, and you shouldn't abide by illegal orders. It is a reminder to anybody that is serving. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we also know that Donald Trump has no regard for rule of law. So I have no problem with what Mark Kelly did. We've talked about this before. And those 5 others who said, hey, if you get an order that is illegal, do not abide by the order. There's nothing illegal about making that statement. It rings true to our Constitution, and any reasonable person would agree. I think Jessica Darloff on Fox News said it best when talking about this topic and about this video. Have a listen to this.
Jessica, don't you wish you can roll the tape and delete this? This is not the finest moment. And in fact, if you are saying the commander-in-chief is giving illegal orders and he's not, that itself is illegal because you're telling people to not comply with laws that Hegseth today said are presumed to be lawful.
There's nothing in the video that says, I want you to defy lawful orders. It's reminding people that in the Uniform Code of Military Justice, you have a sworn duty to not comply with unlawful orders.
And what would those be?
Senator Slotkin gave an interview to TMZ where she did talk about what could potentially fall into those categories, as Kennedy said, bombing boats in the Caribbean when you don't know who's actually in those boats. And we don't know why General Halsey, who was the head of the Southern Command, actually resigned from that post. We'll eventually find out what that is. They go back to 2020 when Donald Trump said shoot protesters in the legs, and Mark Esper said we're absolutely not doing things like that. Concerned that people who are serving right now have come to tell these veteran representatives that they feel like sending troops into American cities and possibly being pitted against American citizens are things that could fall into these categories.
Let me be very clear on this. Jessica is 150% correct. I keep having to repeat this over and over again because there's so many MAGA buffoons out there that think that Senator Mark Kelly and others were telling our troops to defy orders, and that's exactly not what they were saying. Defy illegal orders. The two are very, very different. There was nothing in that video that said otherwise. But MAGA morons, and you see Kellyanne Conway, the alternative fact bimbo, and others that are saying, boy, this is not the finest moment for Mark Kelly and others. Why? Because they're telling people to abide by our own Constitution. These people are some of the dumbest people that America has to offer. And unfortunately, they want to downgrade Mark Kelly in his position. They want to make sure that they give him some sort of pay cut. And obviously, it's absolutely despicable. And Mark Kelly himself appeared on MSNBC yesterday, and he had a chance to respond to the despicable Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump and others, and listen to his response.
Of the 6 Democratic lawmakers who made these statements, which have so upset the president, he's coming after you. At least he's coming after you first. Do you have any opinion as to why he may have singled you out in this way?
I don't know. We would have to ask him that question. Could be him, could be Pete Hegseth. I don't know. You know, and I would have been really shocked if any other president, you know, did this. But when I saw that tweet today, it kind of sort of made sense. I mean, these 2 guys, they informed me of this in a tweet, because this is not about the law. This is about the media cycle, and it's about intimidation. And it's almost, the whole thing's almost comical. Like, how does reciting the UCMJ, how is that which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice. We basically repeated the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and they're saying that's in violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's absurd.
I hear you when you say that it is absurd and that it is almost comical, but also that it is intended to be intimidating.
So that was the Rachel Maddow interview, and Senator Mark Kelly is 150% correct. That's all that they were reciting in this ad. That's all they were doing. You must not abide by illegal orders. It's kind of like saying, hey, you got to abide by the speed limit, or hey, you got to abide by the law. I mean, that's really what Mark Kelly was simply saying here. You don't abide by an unlawful order. Do you remember when Donald Trump, in his first administration, wanted people shooting protesters in the legs? Do you remember that? Back then, he actually had some decent, competent people in his administration that told him no. And this is what I find even more mesmerizing and interesting about Kelly's career. You look at Pete Hegseth and his career and mark it next to Senator Kelly. They're not identical in any way, shape, or form. Mark Kelly is a hero, and he makes that very clear here.
I just have to ask, even though I hear you when you say you're not intimidated, this must be a source of stress for you and your family. I just have to ask the kind of impact that it's having on you and your loved ones.
Rachel, I've had a missile blow up next to my airplane. I've been shot down, nearly shot down multiple times. I've flown a rocket ship into space 4 times, built by the lowest bidder. And my wife, Gabby Giffords, meeting with her constituents, shot in the head, 6 people killed around her. A horrific thing. She spent 6 months in the hospital. We know what political violence is, and we know what causes it, too. You know, the statements that Donald Trump made is insightful, incites others. He's got millions of supporters. People listen to what he says more so than anybody else in the country. And he should be careful with his words. But I'm not going to be silenced here. Is it stressful? I've been stressed by, things more important than Donald Trump trying to intimidate me into shutting my mouth and not doing my job. He didn't like what I said. I'm going to show up for work every day, support the Constitution, do my job, hold this administration accountable, hold this president accountable when he is out of line. That's the responsibility of every U.S. senator and every member of Congress. He's not going to silence us.
I'm going to tell you something. Mark Kelly is one tough cookie. You don't want to mess with Mark Kelly. He's a hero. And I have so much respect for him and his wife and his family and what he's done for his country. And the fact that we have someone as childish and dangerous as Donald Trump who wants to downgrade him and take money from him. The guy who wants to do that, by the way, dodged the military multiple times and is a multiple-time draft dodger, is so despicable. It's so disgusting. But these are the times that we are living in today. But I want to say once again, Senator Mark Kelly, thank you for your service. You're a hero. You and your lovely wife are phenomenal people. I support you 150%. I wish you'd run for president of the United States because I think you'd be a hell of a president and you're a great leader.